you bought them.
I'm confused.
How are you confused? I mean, I can't even see because the screen's black.
I click on Open e-handbook. And then I get confused.
Yeah, I said report cards.
Oh, okay.
And you click on Monomy.
Yeah, it was like, click on Monomy, and I was like, clicked on my pet.
Yes, click on... Yeah, I was like, click on Monomy in the report cards, and I'm just like... What does he not get? I guess I had to say report cards first. Anyways, while you're resetting up the stream, I am going to make ramen.
Now then, let's begin with a simple explanation of the class trial. During the class trial, you will present your arguments for who the killer is, and vote for who done it. If you vote correctly, then only the blackened will receive punishment. But if you pick the wrong person, I'll punish everyone besides the blackened, and that person will earn the right to leave this island. Oh my, Monomy? My cute little sister? You're awfully quiet. What's happened to you? You've ascended the ladder of adulthood and reached the moon? Because you're a rabbit? Yes-o! One more time! Geez, how about this one? This will be my final blow! It's useless.
Please stop. I feel bad for Monomy.
You're right. Now's not the time for me to horse around with Monomy. The class trial has started, after all. The victim this time is Nagito, who was attempting to reveal the traitor for everyone's sake. Who in the world killed him? I'm so curious.
If he was killed for trying to reveal the traitor, that traitor is obviously the killer. They were trying to shut Nagito up.
No, that might not be it.
Huh? Are you trying to protect the traitor? They didn't call out when we were in danger. Wait. Don't tell me you're the traitor.
Don't say something so stupid. There's no way in hell I'm the traitor.
Now that's more like it. Why don't you guys hurry and start arguing already?
The killer did...
It is time for me to wait.
Okay, ramen's heating up. Did you restart the stream?
Yes, I'm waiting.
Okay.
I got to the first part of the trial, and then I was like, I should probably stop.
I actually only got halfway through this trial, so forgive me if I start forgetting things.
Uh-oh.
Didn't take Nagito's mouth to shut him up. I'm telling you, they were torturing him.
The reason Nagito's body was covered with wounds.
It's because the killer tortured Nagito.
So that's why he was so
Alright, I'm
beat
watching.
up. What were they trying to find out by torturing him? Definitely the bomb's hiding place. If so, the suspect
Is whoever found the bomb first.
That was Fuyuhiko.
I found it by coincidence. There's no way I'd torture someone.
Okay, Fuyuhiko, I believe you, but I need to
The
frickin'
killer didn't
do a
take
thingy.
Nagito's mouth to shut him up. I'm telling you, they were torturing him.
the reason Nagito's body was covered with wounds.
It's because the killer tortured Nagito.
So that's why he was so beat up. What were they trying to find out by torturing him? Definitely the bomb's hiding place. If so, the suspect
Is whoever found the bomb first.
That was Fuyuhiko.
Hey, Mark.
Hmm.
There were no blood splatters under the duct tape. Think about what that means.
I don't... That they put it on him before they started attacking him? I don't know.
And if they were torturing him to get information out of him,
Yeah, that wouldn't make any sense.
I found it by coincidence. There's no way I'd torture someone.
The killer didn't take it. I'm telling you, they were tortured.
the reason Nagito's body was covered with wounds.
It's because the killer tortured Nagito.
No, that's wrong.
No, that's wrong.
But Nagito's mouth was covered with duct tape, so he wouldn't have been able to confess anything. If he was being tortured for information, they wouldn't have taped his mouth like that.
I'm prepared. I just realized it's a trap.
A trap?
Stupid Hajime. You got caught in that trap. Like you said,
Guessing it's a
Nagito's
duct tape
mouth,
again.
You obviously assumed he couldn't talk, but that was the trap. They
I
wanted to
just thought he
hide the
was
fact that he
fake.
got interrogated.
But if you tape his mouth shut,
I am determined to make your brain
how
wrinkly
is
by
he
the end of
supposed to
this.
answer anything?
My
Pay
brain
attention.
is
This
too
is how at
smooth.
first, the killer tortured and got information about the bomb's location. Then, after they killed him, they duct taped his mouth shut. Crap! Pay attention. This is how it went down. First, the killer tortured Nagito and got information about the then after they killed him. Damn it!
Wait, what?
Like you said, Nagito obviously assumed he couldn't, but that was the trap.
You had the right
He
one.
wanted to hide the fact that he got interrogated.
But if you tape his mouth
You
shut,
just hit the wrong statement.
how is he supposed to answer anything?
Pay attention. This is how it went down. First, the killer tortured and got information about the bomb's location. Then, after they killed him...
Allow me to cut through those words.
No. There's no doubt Nagito's mouth was covered with duct tape before he was beat up.
What did you say?
Who cares about the duct tape? We might as well settle this with rock, paper, scissors. We don't
Bruh.
need to play a game. It's clear the duct tape was on his mouth before the torture even began.
Why do you always side with Hajime? You have a crush on him or
Who
something?
you see, the duct tape was sucky.
You were with us when I peeled the duct tape off Nagito's mouth, right? The blood on Nagito's face wasn't under the duct tape, remember?
The blood on his face came from his arm wounds, which means the duct tape was on his face before his arms were even wounded.
And the duct tape had a lot of crinkles around his mouth. He must have been struggling to open his mouth under the duct tape.
Perhaps the duct tape was used so he wouldn't be able to scream. Then it's like I said at the beginning. The tape wasn't for torture. It was to keep his mouth shut.
However, if they wanted to seal his mouth, they did not need to hurt him with such ferocity.
They probably had a deep grudge against Nagito.
Then, are you saying the killer was trying to make him suffer? If so, friggin' crazy. Did they go psycho or something?
No, they didn't just go crazy. Whoever did this must be one crafty bastard. If not, they wouldn't have taken the time to set fire to the crime scene and destroy all the evidence.
The warehouse fire was for destroying evidence?
You can't think of any other reason.
But who could have done that? When the fire occurred, everyone in this room was gathered in front of the warehouse.
Yeah. And right after I opened the warehouse door, the flames started burning from the very back.
Which means it is plausible to think that nobody here set the fire.
The killer isn't one of us. But that's not the case, huh? I mean...
Even if it was only a coincidence, the timing was just too perfect.
Based on the pattern up until now, we should suspect that some kind of setup was used for this.
Some kind of setup? Like what?
I do not know that, but that has been the pattern before.
That's our Miss Sonia. You have such an amazingly high intellect. Alrighty then. Let's think about this based on what Miss Sonia thinks.
Damn right it is! The direct cause of the fire was the oil lighter found at the crime scene, right?
The killer used some kind of setup. He lit the curtain on fire with the lighter.
Some kind of setup?
Did they use the oil as an improvised fuse?
They probably just threw the lighter.
Based on the shape of that oil lighter, it can stand upright while the flame is lit.
If they tipped over the lighter in some way, it could have ignited the curtain.
Some way?
Maybe they used invisible thread.
There should have been a way to tip it over with sound waves.
Or perhaps opening the door caused...
I agree with that. I also agree that opening the door is what started the fire.
Just as I thought, it was the wind pressure. Dust Devil Glownear from glorious Japan!
No, not wind pressure. They probably used the Monokuma panels. A huge number of tipped-over Monokuma panels were found at the crime scene, right? It looked like they were scattered everywhere, but some were laying on top of each other in a single line. Just a single line leading from the warehouse door to the fire's origin.
Does that mean anything?
The killer probably arranged those Monokuma panels to create a domino effect.
mean those tiles kids play with by lining them up and tipping them over?
In place of those tiles, the killer used the Monokuma panels. So when we opened the warehouse door, the first panel toppled into the second. And from there, they fell like dominoes until they reached the lighter at the end.
But wouldn't it be obvious that those big panels were falling over?
That's probably why they turned off the lights in the warehouse, so we wouldn't notice them.
So the reason the warehouse was dark was to hide the domino effect.
And one more thing. There was something else the killer did to hide the domino effect, right?
I see! You were talking about the MP3 players.
That's so loud.
Blaring throughout the warehouse masked the sound of the falling panels.
Memories?
What?
You started breathing heavily, so I'm just like, do you have memories?
Oh no. I feel like there's something stuck in my nose.
Oh. I thought you heard the music.
I don't recognize the music.
The music is very specifically from when everybody fell into despair in the last game, right before you started screaming hope at them.
That's fucking hilarious. They are playing Despair song.
That's it. So the strange sound was actually the sound of the panels falling.
But those sounds weren't the only strange thing, right? Looking back on it, it was also strange when we opened the door to the warehouse.
Nah.
Do you know how long I've waited for this specific trial? Almost as long as I waited for the last trial.
Bruh. Why, do you want me to be epic or something?
Well, the last one I knew would give you a confidence boost if everything went right. This one, I specifically want you to have the biggest oh my god moment ever.
I need help.
Monami is here for you. Kinda.
Ah, so the door was being blocked by a Monokuma panel.
And when we opened the door, the domino effect started, and the falling panels eventually reached the lighter. Yeah, and that's how the warehouse caught on fire.
You don't look so sure.
At the time, Akane mentioned that she could barely open the door.
Because the panel was blocking it, right?
With the blocked doorway, there wasn't enough space for a person to fit through, right?
Is that a problem?
It's a major problem. I mean, that door was the only entrance to the warehouse.
was so close to the door that it could barely be opened. The killer inside the warehouse wouldn't be able to leave, right?
Now that you mention it.
Does that mean they were hiding inside?
Who? We were all outside the warehouse, you know.
But based on the patterns up until now, I believe some kind of setup was used.
You don't have to think so hard. There's actually only one person who could have possibly done this.
You don't mean...
Hajime? What do you mean?
This is my answer.
If this is the most badass suicide ever.
It was Nagito.
Why'd you bring him up? He's the victim, you know.
He wasn't just the victim. Maybe.
Huh?
Not just a victim.
He was the victim.
Bruh.
And he was the perpetrator, too.
The
This was a suicide? Don't be stupid.
I am on the side of
His
the
body was covered
killer.
in torture wounds. Or did you already forget?
How does one silver slide this hard? I want to go out with a spear in me, and a knife, and a rope, and on fire, with despair music. Bruh.
But Nagito might do something like that, don't you think?
That's not the issue. He was tied up, remember? Even for a creep like Nagito, it'd be impossible for him to tie up his own arms and legs.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, as long as you understand.
It seems we need to discuss how Nagito was able to tie himself up.
Need to discuss? That's not necessary at all. No matter how much you think about it, it's clearly impossible.
Boy, time to look at my bullets. Okay, no idea.
To actually tie up your own arms and legs. That's obviously impossible.
Tying just the legs is one thing, but tying both arms would be impossible.
You couldn't do much with the free arm.
It'd be impossible if you were by yourself.
How about if you use your teeth? Or if you use your front tail?
Your front tail.
Dirty joke! Is that a dirty joke?
Bro, that's some good maneuvering if you ask me.
To actually tie up your own arms and legs. That's obviously impossible.
Tying just the legs is one thing, but tying both arms would be impossible.
You couldn't do much with the free arm.
It'd be impossible if you were by yourself.
How about if you use your teeth? Or if you use your front tail?
Dirty joke! Is that a dirty joke?
To actually tie up your own arms and legs. That's obviously impossible.
Tying just the leg, tying both arms would...
You couldn't do much with...
It'd be impossible.
How about if you use... Or if you use your...
Dirty joke! Is that a dirty joke?
To actually
There's
tie
really
up your
only
own
one
arms
thing
and
for
legs.
you to contradict.
No, that's wrong.
Hold on a second. Isn't that premise flawed?
What? I mean, it's no mistake that his arms and legs were...
No, it shouldn't have been both of his arms. The rope on his right arm was completely burnt up. Based on that, you can't say he was tied up.
That was just burned by the fire. He should have been tied up before then.
It burned because of the fire. Like you said, it might look like that. But that was part of the trap. There's concrete evidence that proves it.
His right sleeve.
Take a close look at his right sleeve. Even though the rope was burnt up, his sleeve wasn't burned at all. Wouldn't you agree? A burn like this, no matter how you think about it, is unnatural. That rope was burned in advance so it would look like it was burned in the fire.
Then Nagito's right arm wasn't tied up, right? He was able to move it freely, right?
Yeah, that should be the case.
Hajime, that's awesome! I'll let you cop a feel if you want.
Akane, you should not give it away for free. Make sure they pay you first.
Sonia, you have deducted even more points.
That's definitely wrong.
Fine. I just gotta get a Benjamin from him before I let him touch me, right?
That's not what I meant. I'm talking about Nagito. I mean, even if his right hand wasn't tied up, the knife was still stabbed into it, you know.
It's impossible to stab a knife into your right hand with your right hand. Ah, that much.
I mean, he could have just slammed his arm onto the knife.
You tricked me! Give me back that Benjamin!
Hold on. There should be a way.
Then hurry up and spill it.
If it's something lame, I'll make you give back the Benjamin with 10,000% interest.
Slap the crap out of the knife, of course. And the inside is completely dry.
Even if Nagito's right hand was free, how could he stab his right hand with his right hand?
If he threw the knife into the air, and let
Bruh.
the knife fall, could he stab his hand that way?
Is he a throwing knife expert?
Maybe he propped the knife somehow and slammed his right hand down on it?
Propped it onto what?
If he just propped the knife, he could have used his bound left hand.
If you're tied up, your arms won't bend that easily. We don't know if his left hand could even reach his right hand.
You have to agree with somebody here. That's my hint for this one.
Even if Nagito's right hand was free, how could he stab his right hand with his right hand?
If he threw the knife into the and let the knife, could he stab his hand? Is he a throwing knife expert? Maybe he propped the knife somehow.
Incorrect.
Even if Nagito's right hand was free, how
Uh,
could he stab his right hand with his right hand?
If he threw the knife into the air and let the knife fall, could he stab his hand that way?
Is he a throwing knife expert?
If you're confused, look at your
Maybe he
truth
propped the
bullets.
knife somehow.
I agree with that. The life-size Monokuma plushie. He must have used that to prop the knife.
Makes sense. That's why there was a big hole in the plushie's stomach. He inserted the knife handle into that hole to prop it up.
Hey, I swear to God you're getting better at this. I didn't even give you a good hint.
I was already gonna shoot it with that bullet. Oh,
If that's it, he had to place the plushie near him. And it also explains the mysterious blood on the plushie.
So the blood on the plushie came from Nagito after he stabbed the knife into his own right hand.
I see. So that's the trick.
Nagito would be like, I must kill the traitor if it even costs me my life. Figures out he's the traitor. Well, frick.
But for a moment, I seriously thought Monokuma died or something.
A bleeding plushie is super scary. It's got the same fear factor as a doll whose hair grows too long.
After stabbing his hand, he no longer needed the plushie, so he cast it off toward the fire's origin point.
He probably thought the fire would incinerate it and destroy the evidence.
So what do you think now, Fuyuhiko?
I get what you're saying about the wound on his right hand, but there's still one huge problem. The spear. Basically, you're saying Nagito committed suicide by impaling himself with a spear. If you think about the order, getting killed by the spear should have been the last thing to happen to Nagito. If that's true, how is that possible? He can't grab a spear with his right hand if a knife is stabbed into it and his left hand was all tied up.
Then he probably took the spear first, and as he endured the pain,
Fun fact,
stabbed the knife into his right
Mukuro's
hand.
execution is called the Spear of Gungear, which also shares the same name as what just impaled the shit out of Nagito.
Cool.
There is a limit to his constitution. If you got penetrated by something so big and thick, you would die instantly.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch all that.
Like I said, if you got penetrated by something so big and thick, you would die instantly.
Say it one more time. I need to record it. For reasons.
Hey, bastard, you better cut it out!
Like she said, in that condition, it's very difficult to stab yourself with a spear.
I'm kind of surprised you didn't react to any of that.
Into your right hand, while your left
Very
hand
nice,
is
but
tied
I
up.
was hoping Chucky would say it back.
So you're saying it's impossible?
But no matter what I think, I can't believe Nagito's death was
Also,
caused by someone
I
else.
just realized something myself.
Also agree with that.
Nagito and Mukuro actually share a lot in common.
I could never believe that.
And the fact that Nagito's favorite item is Mukuro's knife is also something to think about.
But I like Mukuro.
You say you can't believe it?
Well, that just goes to show that
just
you're
don't want to
Nagito,
believe
right?
it, right?
No.
That's why you keep
All the way
getting
down to
betrayed
like your knife.
over and over again, right? Same goes for this time, too.
You just shut your mouth. It's against the rules to interfere with everyone. If you even think about doing anything, I have a plan of my own.
Monotomy sassing me.
But it's just as Monokuma said. We've been betrayed over and over again so far. This might also be the same. Calling this a suicide takes too much for granted, and it's too convenient.
Then are you saying there is a killer among us, Kazuichi?
Of course that doesn't include Miss Sonia and me.
As Kazuichi said, it's true we've been constantly betrayed. But even if I'm betrayed again, I still want to believe in everyone. No matter how many times I may be betrayed, I still want to believe in everyone.
Starting to sound like Makoto Chiaki.
I also want to believe that there's no killer, but suicide is unimaginable.
Do you really think so?
But you said it too. It'd be impossible for him to stab himself with a spear in his condition.
I did say difficult, but I never said impossible. I feel that there's some way he could have stabbed himself with that spear.
What kind of way?
I don't know.
You don't know.
It's impossible to figure out by myself. So let's think about it together.
Hey Kuri,